Today's story is about the power of being alone. Once, in a small village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a wise monk named Tenzin. His calm demeanour and deep wisdom were known far and wide. People would travel for miles to seek his counsel, but the monk had a special place in his heart for a young man named Shiv. Shiv was like any other person in the village. He had a loving family, many friends, and a decent job. But despite all the good things in his life, Shiv often felt empty. He was constantly surrounded by noise, people, work, and endless distractions. But there was a constant feeling of loneliness within him that never seemed to go away. One day, tired of feeling lost, Shiv decided to visit the wise monk. He had heard that Tenzin had answers to all of life's biggest questions. He made his way up the hill, through the forest, to the monk's peaceful temple. Tenzin was sitting on a rock, gazing at the vast sky. When Shiv arrived, the monk smiled kindly and gestured for him to sit beside him. "Master Tenzin, I've come to you with a heavy heart," Shiv said, his voice filled with frustration. "I have everything, family, friends, a good job, but I feel so lonely. No matter how much I try to fill my life with people and activities, I always feel empty inside. What is missing in my life?" Tenzin looked at Shiv with deep understanding. "Shiv," he said softly, "you are not alone in feeling this way. Many people live with a sense of loneliness, even when surrounded by others. The problem is not with your surroundings, but with how you perceive yourself and the world. You have become so used to the noise of life that you have forgotten the power of being alone." Shiv frowned, confused. "But Master, how can being alone help? Won't I feel even more isolated?" Tenzin smiled gently. "Come with me, and I will show you the truth." The monk led Shiv to a quiet part of the forest. It was a beautiful place, peaceful, with only the sound of birds singing and leaves rustling in the wind. They sat by a stream, and Tenzin instructed Shiv to close his eyes and listen carefully. For a long time they sat in silence, only the sound of nature around them. After a while, Tenzin spoke again. "Do you hear that?" he asked. Shiv nodded. "Yes, I hear the water flowing and the birds chirping." "That sound is nature in its purest form," Tenzin said. "It is neither lonely nor afraid. It simply exists. Being alone is like this stream, naturally flowing, peacefully existing. The world around us often fills our minds with distractions, but we must learn to listen to our inner selves. Only in silence can we hear the answers to our questions." Shiv thought about the moment. He realized that he had been so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that he had forgotten to be still, to listen to his own heart. Tenzin continued, "You see, Shiv, we are often afraid to be alone, because we fear what we might find in the silence. But when we are alone, we can truly connect with ourselves. We can understand our deepest desires, our true passions, and our purpose in life. The key to overcoming loneliness is not to be surrounded by others, but to learn to enjoy your own company." Shiv's mind raced. "But Master, how can I be happy alone? I have always needed people around me to feel complete." Tenzin smiled and gave a small chuckle. "That is the illusion, my friend. You do not need anyone to complete you. You are already complete. The problem is that you have become disconnected from yourself. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to reconnect, to rediscover who you truly are without the influence of others." The monk stood up and gestured towards the mountains in the distance. "Look at the mountains," he said. They have stood alone for centuries. They do not rely on the trees or the rivers to define their existence. They simply are, and in their stillness they are strong. Shiv stood up too, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of peace. He realized that he had been running from his own emotions, his own thoughts, thinking that being alone was a weakness. But now, with the monk's words in his heart, he understood that being alone could be the key to his true strength. "Master, how do I begin?" Shiv asked, eager to change. Tenzin placed a hand on his shoulder. "Begin by spending time with yourself. Start small, take a walk alone, sit in silence for a few minutes each day, and reflect on your thoughts. Don't be afraid of the silence. In it, you will find clarity and wisdom." Shiv nodded, feeling a new sense of determination. He thanked the monk and promised to follow his advice. He spent the next few weeks practicing being alone. At first, it was difficult. He felt restless and uneasy, as though something was missing. But slowly, he began to find peace in the stillness. He started to enjoy his own company, listening to his thoughts and discovering new things about himself. Shiv smiled and whispered to the wind, "Thank you, Master. I understand now. Being alone is not a curse. It is a gift." Years passed and Shiv became a wise man in his own right. He continued to live in the village, but his heart was no longer burdened by loneliness. He had learned to appreciate the solitude that had once scared him. Whenever someone came to him with feelings of emptiness, Shiv would share his story and the wisdom of the monk who had taught him the power of being alone. And so, the lesson of solitude spread through the village, from one person to the next. People learned that in the stillness of being alone, there was room for growth, understanding, and peace. They no longer feared silence, but embraced it, knowing that it was in those quiet moments that they could truly hear the voice of their own soul. Shiv never forgot the lesson of the wise monk. He understood now that being alone didn't mean being lonely. It meant being whole, and it was in that wholeness that he found the strength to live a life filled with purpose, joy, and peace. Moral of the story: the power of being alone lies not in isolation, but in self-discovery. Solitude offers the opportunity to reconnect with your true self, to listen to your heart, and to grow stronger from within. Only when we learn to be content with our own company can we truly find peace and fulfillment. If you learnt anything from this story, then like, share and subscribe to JP Stories for more such videos.